This is how you can make expandable rows in SwiftUI. Alright, let's jump right into Xcode. At the time of this recording, the latest Xcode is Xcode 11 Beta 4. That's what I'm using. So I'll open that up, open up my expandable rows project, and this will load up. You'll see so far, hit resume up here in the top right. So far, I just have this VStack with a few text views in there. Little plug for my podcast, iOS Building Blocks. So go check that out. Subscribe if you like it. I'd really appreciate it. Cool. Hope you enjoy that. All right, let's jump right in. So if we want to make expandable rows, first things first, we need a list of data, right? And each row needs to be in its unexpanded state to begin with. At least that's how we want it. So let's make an array of data. Var, and we'll say data, and we'll initialize a whole new, oh, this is going to bother me, that space right there. Okay. All right. Whole new array of data right here. And it'll be strings. We'll do some names of cats, right? How about Stevens? He has a cool cat, Cat Stevens. Next one, Chloe, Secret Life of Pets. Next one, I don't know. I'll just put Frank. And cool. And we need to make our list here. And no, I didn't forget the state. I'm just going to explain that in a second. So open up our list. And what we want here is to just pass in our data and identify it. So the ID is the second argument by itself, by each item's self. So each string will kind of identify the item in the list. So we'll go like this, item in, go like that. And we'll put a text view here, and we'll just throw in item, since that's a string. But we want our list to update automatically if this array changes. So let's go ahead and go like this, put state. Perfect. Let's hit resume up here, top right, see what we've got. Let that build, it succeeded. Cool. We got Stevens, Chloe, Frank, cool cats. Nice. All right, so we're getting somewhere. We've got our first thing first, right? Our list of data. Nothing happens when you click these rows. Nothing happens at all. So let's go ahead and get rid of this text right here because we want a custom row, really. So let's go like this and say struct custom row, and we will make that a view. And in order to conform to this view right here, we need to put in body. See, it will auto-complete for me. But this is how it's usually done. As you can see right here in this struct that conforms to view, it's just some view. All right, some view. Nice. And in here, we'll put a text view and put that there for now because we want to pass in this string. So let's go like this. We'll say var name string. Just like that. And then in this text view, we'll just throw in name. That looks pretty cool. So now we can just replace this text right here with custom row. Open that up and pass in item. Nice. Let's go hit resume up in the top right, see what we've got. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Build succeeded. All right. Everything's the same, just as expected. Let's keep going. So now we've got our custom row. What would be next? I mean, we've got this plain old list, but what do we do underneath it? Like if we click this and we want it to expand, we need some more information here. You know what? This will be a lot easier if we just do, how about this? Let's make a new struct down here. Let's make something called a custom row model. And we'll have it identify or conform to something called identifiable. Just like that. And we'll loop back to that in a second, and I'll tell you why. So to conform to identifiable, you need ID right there. And we'll get rid of object identifier, and we'll just go ahead and initialize this right off the bat like this. Give it a unique identifier like this, and say UUID string right there. That'll give this a unique identifier. There we go. Now we conform to identifiable. And as I said, we'll loop back and explain why. All right, so this custom row model is going to describe what we want in this row. So we'll go like this. We'll say var name. That's a string. Because, you know, we already have that right here. So what do we want to show when this row is expanded? Well, how about we just say like a thought, like the cat's thought. We'll say string like this. So we've got our cat's name and a cat's thought. So if you tap the row, we want it to expand and show like a thought of this cat, right? All right. So how do we get this into here? How do we just tie this in? Well, we could just create somehow an array of these custom row models and just throw those in. But I like this idea a little bit better. Let's go like this. We'll say class list data source. Just like that. We'll say bindable object. And if you didn't know, you're getting a little more than you bargained for with this video. You're going to get a slight introduction to combine, which, don't worry about it. It is pretty straightforward with this example I'm going to give you. Really straightforward, in fact. So, to conform to bindable object, we need to give it something called will change. There it is right there. What we're going to do is delete this part, and we're just going to initialize it right off the bat. And you say pass through subject, and you see how that's not showing up, what I just said, pass through subject. It's because we need to import combine. Just like that. So let's try this again. Pass through subject. Nice. And just go like this. This is kind of a, when you're first getting into this, just blindly do this. When you're just using the basic combine, I just want some data to just like update for me. Just use this right here. Now we've got an initialized will change variable here right off the bat. I'll explain what this does in a sec. Because there's no data in this list data source. So how about we go like this and we say var row models, and we initialize this to custom row models like we made down here, right? Here's our custom row model. Cool. And we'll just initialize this array right off the bat to just an empty array. But let's open curly braces, close curly braces, and we'll say will set. So every time this row models array will change, then we want to say will change send. So every time something's going to change here in this row models array, it's going to send out this beacon alert. Just like, hey, anybody who's got a list data source instance and who's referencing this row models array, update yourself now. Bam. And it will just automatically do it. Really cool. So the three basic key things with combine, intro to combine right here. Import combine, and then you conform to bindable object like that. So 1, 2, 3. And then to actually send out any updates, you just put will change.send. All right, back on track here. Every time we initialize this list data source, let's go ahead and just populate this row models array because we don't have a backend set up here or anything. We don't have any fancy, dynamic data like that. So let's go like this and create a private function and just say add new model. And we'll say with name, string, and then we can say thought. So we want to give it a name and a thought right when we create it. So we'll say let model equal custom row model. And then see here, this ID right here, it's already initialized in our custom row model. I'll just show you if you don't remember. Right here, we already initialized it. So there's no reason to pass it in right now if we don't want to. So in this case, I don't have any other special ID I want to give it, unique ID. So let's use this constructor right here, name and thought, just like that. We'll pass in name because that came from right here, and we'll pass in thought, which came in right here. Cool. Now we've got our custom model created right there. And now that we've got that, we can say row models append model. And yes, we could have just put this whole thing right into here, but this is how I chose to do it right now. All right, now I've got this cool method that just adds our new model like this. So right when this list data source gets initialized, let's go like this. Add new model with name. So down there we had Stevens, school cat, and let's give him a thought right here. And I already have something over here that I'm going to copy and paste. So I'm going to do a triple quote. So I can do a multi-line text right here. And I went to catipsum.com and got some, random cat text. Throw that in right here. These can be funny, these triple quotes, because it wants you to start on a new line like this, and the quotes need to be on their own line. So hopefully that works out. And to give it a little more visual, make it look a little better for us as the developer, let's do this. / enter. Because if you didn't know about triple quotes, if I just hit enter like this, then when we run the app, it'll actually show up like that. If I went like this, it would actually show up with those line breaks right there. So if you just want it to kind of look a little better visually for you as the developer, and you don't want the line breaks to show up in the actual app when you run it, just put this / and then enter. It's kind of just faking the enter right there so you can have it look a little nicer in your code. Okay, let's just do this a few times. Get this going. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so we've now added one new row model to our array right here, and we could do it another time. We'll do it 2 more times for other cats that we had down below. Add new model with name Chloe, and this thought right here. Let's do this again. 3, 1, 2, 3. New line there. All right, and we'll paste this in here, but we'll make it a little shorter, just so it's not so long. Like this. Nice. And I know it had that weird period right here, but I thought it was kind of funny because this is the weirdest text. And let's put a / here, a little / here. Gotta love cats. Cool. All right, let's add one more model right here. Name. That was Frank, and let's give Frank a thought, and let's give him a short thought right here. We'll say head nudges, always ensure to lay down. We'll just leave it right there, just like kind of a one-liner. Because then when we have our expanded rows, you'll see like a lot of text in this one, and a little bit more or a little less right here, and then even less here, kind of like a one-liner. Because then you can see how it'll be dynamic in the height of the row. All right, cool. So now, right when we initialize data source, we just automatically add these 3 new row models to our row models array. So now let's use this. Let's go right here and say @object binding. So this is how if you're not just working directly into this in this struct, and you want to kind of use, instead of having state here, you want to bind to something in a different class, like this one right here. You want to bind to this, then you use object binding. So object binding var data source, and we'll say list data source. And it just initialize it right there. And so that gets initialized and automatically creates our row models like we did right up there. Cool. So to use this, we'll say data source. And the cool thing is, we're looping back here now. Remember how this conforms to identifiable, our row model? Because this conforms to identifiable, we can get rid of this second parameter here in the list constructor, the ID parameter, and just say data source dot row models. Perfect, just like that. But let's go like this and say, well, let's see, you do Command Control E, model, bam. But our custom row doesn't accept a row model, it accepts a name, like this, a string. So let's go like this. Let's say var, and we'll say model, and we'll say custom row model, just like that. So then that will go there, and then we'll say model dot name. Cool, just like that. Is that looking pretty good? Well, I think it's looking pretty good. So if we build it, will it work? Why isn't that working? Well, let's see why. Fix. It says replace the name with model. Oh, that looks good. I'll do that. Cool. Because I updated this and I updated that. I changed this to model instead of name, how it was before. And now we pass in model. Perfect. All right. So do you think this will work now? Let's hit build. And yeah, looks like build succeeded. And let's run the app. See what it looks like so far. Cool. It's working with our custom row models and our data source. Got Stevens, Chloe, Frank, and yeah, Let's move on because we need expandable rows, right? All right. Command period, that'll stop our current build from happening right there in our simulator. So the magical part, expanding this row right here. What are we missing? Well, we're missing this variable right here. Come into the custom row model and we'll say var is expanded bool. And since we have a new variable here that's not initialized, that means since it's a struct, it's requiring that something gets initialized, when we create this. So right here, we're missing that. So we'll just put thought here on this line here, and we'll say is expanded. Will autocomplete for me. And we'll just set it to false because we want our rows to just not be expanded by default. Cool, so every time we add a new model, it will be collapsed by default. And let's add it right there. Cool. So let's run the app again. Is that going to do anything? Huh. You might be right if you say no. Cool, because we're not doing anything. You click on that row, nothing's happening. So let's go in here and use this. So we'll come in here to the body of our custom row, and let's go like this. Let's command click on text, and we'll say embed in vstack. Nice. We'll give this an alignment too, this vstack of leading, like that. So everything will be over to the left. Nice. And this right here, this is going to be a little different. We need something that's clickable, right? So let's go like this, and then we'll say button. And the constructor we want to use is action and then label. So when we tap this button, we want it to do this right here, where this code is right here. And then this is what we want the button to look like, and enter right there. So we want the button to look something like this. Text with the model name in there, right? And then when the button's tapped, here's where the magic part is. Say self model is expanded toggle. So if is expanded is true, it'll toggle it to false. And if it's false, it'll toggle it to true. And notice this error right here. If you ever come across this, whoops. Hey, look, I just got a crash in Xcode. That was cool because it didn't like that I wasn't doing what I was about to show you. Cool. So let's start Xcode again. And open up, oh, cool. It's opening up my project right here. Oh, nice. I didn't save, so it didn't save the button thing I just made. So that error that, said self.model.isExpanded.toggle. So it said it is expanded, like that model just is immutable. You can't change it. It's a struct, right? So if we want to be able to, we go like this and we just say at state right here on our model. So let's do this again. So we've got a button and we wanted the action and then title constructor there. So the action will be self model is expanded toggle. Cool. And then for our label here, we'll just say this, right? Cool. Now that error should go away. Nice. So that error, oh yeah, here's the Xcode quit unexpectedly thing. It's because it crashed a minute ago. All right, so now every time we tap our button, is expanded will change back and forth from true to false. Okay? But this text is always going to show, so, Stevens, Chloe, and Frank. So here's the last part of it. You say if model is expanded, then let's show some text there. We'll say text, and we will say model thought. We'll show the thought right there. And that's pretty cool. And so then what we got to do, this is kind of a thing that, it expects right now. It's I've seen it not expect this, and sometimes it does, but empty view. We're just covering all our bases. If it's expanded, do this. Otherwise, don't put anything there. That's an empty nothing, right? Okay, cool. So right here, we've got our button. You tap it, and look at all these things it's doing it now. Let's build this and see what happens. Opaque return type. Oh yeah, okay. That's because I forgot our VStack from before. I should have saved, right? But I didn't know it was going to crash. All right, VStack, alignment, and we'll say leading. Nice. All right. Open that up and highlight all of that and put that up in there. All right. VStack alignment leading, everything will be over to the left, and model is expanded. Then show the thought, and let's run this and see what happens. You're going to see that it doesn't quite work as expected, but I'll show you the solution. All right, Stevens, click. Ooh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Expandable rows, sort of, right? We got this truncation there. So we need that thought to wrap around. We don't want, a limitation on our lines. So let's come back here and command period, get that to stop running. All right, so here, this is, there is a current bug with this in Xcode 11 beta 4, where, you should just be able to say, like this, like in your text, you want to just be able to say line limit nil, just like that, and just have it work, right? But we also need to go like this. We'll say line limit nil, just like down there, which means, if you pass a nil, it should just accept any number of lines of text, right? Just grow with it. And here's the extra part we need to add to it. We'll say frame, and we'll give it an ideal height, like this. We'll say infinity. Cool. So you add the frame to this one, but you don't need to this one. So that right there will fix our wrapping. But let's give this right here a little more differentiation, right? Make it a little different from the thought underneath the cat. Cool. No errors right here, and let's run that. So this is the bare bones design for expandable rows like this. We got Stevens. These are some cool cats. Look at that. Oh, Steven head nudges away and sure to lay down in such a manner that tail can lightly brush human's nose. Cat walks on keyboard. In keyboard. Nice. All right, cool. Frank. That's nice. One-liner. A little bit bigger. See this? It's nice and dynamic in the height of the cells. Really cool, right? All right, so that was a bare bones designed example of expandable rows in SwiftUI. Check out my video on custom rows in SwiftUI if you want to see a little bit more of how to make your rows a little bit nicer. All right, if you like this, please just subscribe so you can see more videos like this and more tips, and follow me on Twitter, ScottsMith_dev, and we'll talk to you later. See ya!